architectural or historical character that's been found by a designation. And when in making a determination about whether a building does qualify for landmark status, the Commission holds a public hearing like this one and to consider the testimony of all interested parties, the owner of the property in question, the public that's here today, elected officials, citizens, everyone. And that's why I'm gratified that there is a turnout like this, and we look forward to the proceedings. And I'm aware that this designation has been, or proposed designation has generated a lot of discussion about the property and its potential use or current use or future use. And let me emphasize that in deciding whether to designate the building, this building or any other building, the Commission is required, here's our standard, to determine whether the building in question, and here I quote from the Landmarks Law, quote, has a special character or special historical or aesthetic interest or value as part of the development, heritage, or cultural characteristics of New York City, New York State, or the nation. God bless. Issues regarding how this building or any other site is used are not relevant to this proceeding or those determinations. So again, this is the second step of the formal process. There's a calendaring, there's a public hearing, and then ultimately there is a vote, a decision by the Commission to designate or not to designate. And this building, a Renaissance Italian palazzo-style building constructed circa 1857, 1858, the question would be whether it has the special architectural, cultural, again, quoting the statute, or historic characteristics that would warrant designation. So I want to again thank you all for being here. Thank President Jennifer Rabb, one of my distinguished predecessors as chair of the Landmarks Commission, the president of Hunter College. She was up here a moment ago to greet us. She has very graciously allowed us to utilize this space today and has given us the opportunity to work with her staff at Hunter College and our staff at the Landmarks Commission, many of whom are here today, to ensure that we have a smooth proceeding. So I want to again thank Jennifer and everybody at Hunter. They've been remarkable, and I greatly appreciate it. And now I'm going to turn over, as we always do, at this stage of the public hearings, turn over to Mary Beth Betts, to my left, the Director of Research at the Landmarks Preservation Commission, who will provide a brief presentation about some of the reasons why 45 Park Place may merit designation. That's, in other words, why it was calendared, what presumptive or threshold tests were met to even bring us to this stage. And at that point, after that's concluded, we'll begin calling people up to these two microphones to testify. Mary Beth.
Okay. Good afternoon, Commissioners. The item before us proposed for public hearing is LP 2434, 45 to 47 Park Place building at 45 to 47 Park Place, Manhattan. The landmark site is Borough of Manhattan Tax Map, Block 126, Lot 9, in part consisting of the portion of the lot bounded by a line beginning at the southeastern corner of the lot, running westerly along the southern lot line 54 and 5 inches to the southwestern corner of the 4547 Park Place building, thence northerly along the exterior of the western wall of said building, and parallel with the easterly side of West Broadway to the northern lot line, thence easterly along the northern lot line to the eastern lot line, then southerly along the eastern lot line to the point of beginning. Completed in 1857 to 58, this 5-story store and loft building is a fine example of the Italian Renaissance-inspired palazzi that flourished from the 1850s through the 1870s in the former textile and dry goods district on and around Broadway near City Hall Park. It was constructed for Paul Spofford and Thomas Tillotson, proprietors of one of the city's most prominent shipping firms. As you can see on the map, while number 45 to 47 Park Place shares a large tax lot with another building, only 45 to 47 Park Place is being considered for landmark designation. By drawing upon the architectural vocabulary of the Italian Renaissance palazzo, the builders of mercantile structures like 45 to 47 Park Place sought to project an image of prestige and economic power. The building retains much of its historic fabric, including its original ground floor Corinthian colonnade cast by Daniel D. Badger and Company, Its stone-faced upper floors appear much as they did when the building opened, featuring molded window surrounds, molded projecting lintels, bracketed sills, and second-floor balconettes with faux-turned balusters. Flanking the building's simple, continuous cornice are two scrolled brackets. It also retains many of its historic, likely original, 2/2 double-hung windows, although their glazing has been painted. Alterations include the replacement of its storefront infill and the installation of a metal fire escape, which probably dates from the early 20th century.
Okay, thank you very much, Mary Beth. And now a couple quick housekeeping, if you will, details before we get started. The owner of the building has the prerogative, as we customarily at the commission, to testify first or in the middle or at the end, whatever he or she or it shall choose, and they are going to have elected to testify first, and I'll call them in a moment, and then go right to members of the public, elected officials, and others who are here and who sign up, and to the extent possible, call everyone in the order in which the sign-up occurred. And again, we have a 3-minute, and I hope everyone will listen carefully and abide by the proposed 3-minute rule, and if possible, 2 minutes, whatever you can do, and we will notify everyone with a shout-out of some kind, modest, when the 3 minutes has expired. And hopefully everyone, the more people adhere to that rule, the more people have the opportunity to speak. And I'll be calling people up in groups of 5 roughly. We'll see how this works out. Go to the mics, have the testimony, call more people, and sort of work through it that way. And I ask that anybody who goes to the mics to speak will state your name clearly for the record. So we're transcribing all this, of course. We want an official record. And after you've spoken, clear the aisle, as it were. And we are here again at the sufferance of Hunter College. We have the auditorium from 2 to 5, 3 full hours. We will hopefully get a lot done during that time. We'll have a lot of information and a lot of people to listen to, a lot of points of view, and looking forward to it. And at 5, when we begin to wind down and close the hearing for today, we will keep open the record on this matter because of its, because of the importance of the issue, and we'll keep it open, that record, until the close of business next Tuesday, July 20th, so that anyone who either hasn't had a chance for whatever reason today or because of the weather wasn't able to get here or anything like that will be encouraged and are encouraged to submit written testimony. Becomes part of the record, can be mailed, faxed, emailed, and as long as we receive it by the close of business on the 20th, it's part of our deliberation and part of our record. Again, there are people here from the staff of Hunter and the Landmarks Commission and others who are here to basically make the meeting run well. They're here. If you need any information from them, either get it at the desk outside or for anyone in the room. And with that, let's get started on the public hearing. And Shelley Friedman is the first name I have on top. He is counsel for the owner, and would invite him to come to that microphone. And then after him will be Sharif El-Gamal, Nathan Riddle, Muzaffar Chisti, and that would be the owner's component. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Commissioner. Shelley Friedman, Friedman and Gottbaum, representing Soho Properties, which is the owner of the site. We're here today to continue a discussion that began with the Commission and the staff on January, following Mr. El-Gamal's notification from the staff that the property had been considered in 1989 for designation. This was not something that he understood before he purchased the property, and so we met with the Commission, and we requested that this be put on a calendar so that, pursuant to your procedures, it could be heard and hopefully removed. We are opposed to the designation, obviously, because we're here today looking forward to it being removed as a potentially as a designated, proposed for designated site. You will hear from Mr. El-Gamal shortly. You'll also hear from Nathan Riddle from AKRF, who has prepared the material that you have, hopefully that you have in front of you. You also have a letter from Imam Faisal indicating his regret that he could not be here today. We know that it is not sufficient to come to the Commission and say that, well, you designated this and proposed this for designation in 1989, and you haven't done anything with it since, and therefore that is supposed to lead to the conclusion that it should be passed on as a individual landmark. But the record here is something that's quite different. The record here suggests that you have considered this property in one fashion or another many times since 1989. The detailed consideration of Tribeca West first, then that being adopted, and then 3 other Tribeca historic districts being adopted shortly after that. This property was on a master list of those properties that you considered for the historic district, but it was not included in any of those historic districts. The Commission then broke out, I think, somewhere around 25 individual properties that did not make the historic districts and considered those as individual landmarks, and this property was not among those selected for that list as well. And you have continued to look at the sites in this neighborhood as individual landmarks as recently as 2 years ago without any reflection or turning back to this property for potential consideration. So we think that all of that in total indicates that is consistent with what we're about to present to you in our testimony, that this property in your minds in the past and now from our submission does not rise to your standards for individual landmarking. Our report will compare this property to the other individual landmarks in and around Tribeca, and we think it falls far short. It is not sufficient for a building to share generic attributes with other buildings in historic districts or with other individual landmarks. Clearly, this building does share those attributes, but they are neither exemplary or unique or celebratory or historically significant to the extent that the other buildings that you have proposed for individual designation in this part of Manhattan. So we're going to ask that you listen carefully to our professional testimony and that you read our record, and that you conclude that the building does not rise to the standards for individual landmarking, and that you so inform the property owner so that this 20-some-odd year proposed designation can come to a conclusion. I'm happy to answer your questions either as a group or individually. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Sharif El-Gamal, and then Nathan Riddle.
Good afternoon, dear honorable members of the panel. I'd like to thank Hunter College for allowing us to use their facility today.
Please identify yourself by name, please.
Sharif El-Gamal.
Okay, thank you. Good.
Excuse me, sir. I'd like to thank Hunter College for allowing us to use this facility today. I would also like to thank the NYPD for their support and for coming out today and also being a part of this. My name is Sharif El-Gamal, and I am the chairman and CEO of Soho Properties, the owner of the site since 2009. I want to thank the Commission for its time, its administration of the hearing, and its attentiveness to this issue. Let me tell you why I'm here. I'm opposed to the designation of 45 Park Place as a landmark. I could find no evidence of the Commission's interest in this building over the 5 years it took to purchase it. Had I been aware of the 1989 hearing, I would have hired AKRF then to research its history. I have done so for this hearing, and you will hear from Mr. Riddle in just a moment. I have done so, having read the report, I feel even more strongly that this building does not meet the Commission's standards as an individual landmark. I say this as a proud owner of other properties in historic districts, and I value and appreciate your role in preserving them. This building, however, was purchased for the express purpose of replacement. Just a word on that. I am a member of the Muslim congregation that prays at 45 Park Place and has prayed in Lower Manhattan for the past 5 decades. I was born in Brooklyn and raised in Manhattan and Long Island. As a Muslim American and a businessman, I am proof of the American dream. I have worked in Lower Manhattan for many years now, and am fully committed to giving back to this city which has given me so much. Indeed, many of our supporters stand behind this project because they recognize the value of this project to the future of New York. But more than that, I am the father of 2 beautiful girls. I try to spend as much time as I can with them, which as New Yorkers know, is easier said than done. In this week's Jewish Week newspaper, the daughter of an interfaith marriage with a Jewish mother and a Muslim father noted that there isn't a clear place in New York to learn about Muslim cultural heritage. It is my hope that this project becomes that kind of space, and more than that, a service to all New Yorkers. I want my daughters to know that giving back must be a part of who they are, and that being a Muslim and serving our fellow citizens goes hand in hand. I think a lot about their future and about the future of the city that they are growing up in. We are honored to have the Community One board as neighbors and friends who have moved me with their support in the deepest sense of gratitude and respect. Their support...
He's testifying. Everybody will have an opportunity to testify.
Their support upholds the values and beliefs that our great nation was founded upon. They have also voted unanimously to recommend against landmark status for this property because they understand the importance of this project to revitalizing New York. I want to thank our supporters, starting with Manhattan Borough President Scott Stringer and Councilwoman Margaret Chin, Congressman Jerry Nadler, Governor Patterson, Attorney General Andrew Cuomo, Mayor Michael Bloomberg, State Senator Daniel Squadron, Councilman Robert Jackson, and all their respective staff. I want to thank the Commission for its time and attentiveness to this matter. In closing, I especially want to thank Imam Faisal Abdul Rauf and his wife Daisy Khan for all they have taught me, for the wisdom they have shared with me, and the tremendous personal sacrifices they have made in working to develop a vibrant model for a successful and integrated Muslim American community. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Nathan Riddle. Nathan Riddle, please. Remind you of the 3-minute rule, please.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Nathan Riddle. I'm an historian at AKRF, an environmental consulting firm. AKRF was retained to prepare a narrative history of the property at 4547 Park Place and to assess its significance in architectural, historical, and contextual terms in comparison with similar buildings located within designated historic districts and similar buildings that have been designated as individual landmarks. Our report has been submitted to the Commission. In summary, our report concludes that the 4547 Park Place building does not appear to possess a special character or special historical or aesthetic interest such that its demolition would result in the removal of a building with a unique history or design in New York City. Our assessment is based on the following. 4547 Park Place is a typical store and loft building from the 1850s. The cast iron storefront, stone upper floors, and Italian palazzo style are not unique. 4547 Park Place does not represent the work of a prolific developer and is consistent with the many other extant store and loft buildings that were constructed without a specific tenant in mind. The cast iron storefront is not stylistically unique or an especially early or late work of Daniel Badger's architectural ironworks. Further, this building is not unique for its cast iron storefront or connection to Daniel Badger. In general, the individual landmarks reviewed that have some similarities to the 4547 Park Place building, size, type, style, and or age, have some element of significance that is not relevant to 4547 Park Place. These include significant architect, excellent examples of full cast iron facades, uniqueness in terms of survival within a geographic location, such as on Broadway or in the financial district, and unique and innovative designs. 4547 Park Place is located on the side streets west of Broadway, where a number of store and loft buildings from this era have been preserved. It is not an exceptional or important example of the Italian palazzo style, and was designed in the style typical for its date of construction. It has no design elements that are unusual for its period and does not include any extraordinary surviving decorative ornament. It does not have any innovative design or construction elements and was not influential in the design of subsequent buildings. It has not continuously housed any particular type of business, and it is not known to have historical significance related to a person or event. Special consideration was given in our report to the buildings at 2325 Park Place, which were recently designated as landmarks and appear to have similar architectural and historical characteristics, as 4547 Park Place. However, the facade of 4547 Park Place is much more simple than that of 2325 Park Place and does not have the hierarchy of window ornament called out in the findings and designation of those buildings. Further, the cornices on 2325 Park Place are significantly more detailed than the simply molded cornices at 4547 Park Place. 2325 Park Place was also built for the dry goods firm that originally occupied it, who were located there from 1857 to 1865. This makes the 4547 Park Place building a more mundane commercial building where the property appears to have been built as a profitable rental property leased to a variety of commercial tenants rather than a headquarters for a prestigious commercial firm.
Okay, concluded. Thank you. Muzaffar Chisti or Kisti? Chisti. However, forgive me for the pronunciation. And then 5 more names. I'll call them now so you can get ready, please, if you indulge me for a moment. Joan Romanelli, Barbara Paolucci, Jack Lester. Maybe you can line up on that mic if you don't mind. Sam Numberg. Okay? Please proceed on over here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission. My name is Muzaffar Chishti. I am a lawyer, and
excuse me one moment, please. There's another mic here if people want to. Either way, I'll call the names as I read them out. So whatever's convenient for you. Please proceed.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission. My name is Muzaffar Chishti. I'm a lawyer, and I direct the Migration Policy Institute at NYU School of Law. It's unfortunate that Imam Faisal could not be with us this afternoon. You will get it painfully aware that I'm a very poor substitute for him. But I speak as someone who has watched him with admiration as he has led and nurtured more than one generation of Muslim Americans use the Farah Mosque in Lower Manhattan as a place of worship and reflection for more than a quarter century. During this time, we have seen the place of worship as an evolving picture of Muslim Americans today. It attracts immigrants to those whose parents are born in the United States as second-generation Americans. It encompasses the entire spectrum of Muslim Americans today, from bankers to lawyers to academics and students. The second point I want to make quickly is to speak about the importance of the interfaith component of the Cordoba House. I speak here first as a professional who studies the diversity of our country. Interfaith dialogue is a compelling national interest today with huge foreign policy implications. I also speak as a member of an interfaith family. I happen to be married to a Jewish woman who was born in New York. We have 2 daughters who are proud to consider themselves both Jewish and Muslim. And there are many places in New York where they can go to learn about their Jewish heritage. But wouldn't it be great if there's a place where kids like them, and there are many of them in New York today, who can come and not meet each other just as Muslims or as Jews or as Christians, but as simply as kids, and share their experiences, their stories, and their common culture. I do believe that Cordoba House could be a place like that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Joan Romanelli.
I guess I'm operating under a misconception. I thought that we were coming here to discuss the landmark status of 4547 Park Place.
Proceed.
I will now have to change what I was saying. I was prepared to discuss the Italian Romanesque palazzo-style building.
Thank you. Yes.
That was to be granted landmark status in '89. My question is, why are we waiting 21 years later to discover whether or not this building has landmark status? 311 Broadway, which is the same kind of building, was granted landmark status in 2010. Why was this building not given landmark status at that time, when, in fact, it was said that there were very few Italian palazzo-style buildings that existed? So why do one and not the other is my question. I'm neither a lawyer nor am I an architect, but I want to know why Mayor Bloomberg is against granting this building landmark status. I have never heard Mayor Bloomberg say I have never heard from Mayor Bloomberg's mouth why this building should not be granted landmark status. I speak before you as a concerned citizen of New York who cares about our historical history, I am not here to discuss anything else. A mosque can be built where a mosque wants to be built. There are plenty of them. That's not the issue for today's meeting. And I hope that you will only allow people to speak about landmark preservation for this building, because that is the point of this meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Barbara Paolucci.
Well, I guess I'm going to take this a little bit in a different direction. I think that you guys should grant landmark status to this building for a number of reasons. Not only its architectural value, but its historical value. The landing gear from one of the planes from 9/11 attack crashed into that building, went through the roof and down into the basement, and that should be a museum. That building should be declared a museum. I've asked your...
Proceed.
I've asked your people when we were waiting outside, how do we get 9/11 area, Ground Zero, declared a historic district? And this building should be part of that. The entire area needs to be created as a historic district. You could take Tribeca South Extension and expand upon that and rename it, right? Or create just a whole new one, but it needs to be addressed. I think it's very important. This commission is the only hope that that area has to have it preserved. And that's the most notorious attack on American soil ever. We don't know today if there are parts of human remains in that building or any of the others. All right? Thank you. So I say to you, it's not only all of the things that people can say about the wonderful cast iron buildings, and my personal opinion is that every one of them should be preserved. Every one of them. They're unique. They're a special group of buildings that are never going to be built again. All right? Why lose any of them? All right? And I hate to contradict people, but the gentleman that was here before talking about it has to be unique. It doesn't have to be a one of a kind in order to get landmark protection, right? It's a cast iron building. It's over 150 years old. It has a very long history. I don't have to tell everybody. Everybody's gone to the Historical Society and to you guys and tried to find out as much as we could about the history of the building to make presentations here. I was told today, you guys know more than anybody else about its history. So I don't have to bring that up. But again, I say to you, not all cast iron buildings should be preserved. And I would ask you to consider that. And this building is part of that group.
Thank you.
And this building in particular should be turned into a museum, a monument to 9/11, so that nobody forgets.
Thank you very much. Jack Lester. Jack Lester, and then we're going to have Sam Nunberg, and then I'll call a few more names. Please, if you'd move away from the mic, or we can go over here if this is Mr. Lester. I'm not sure.
Good afternoon,
Please.
members of the Commission. Again, I would like to thank the Commission for holding the hearing in a place where the public can participate. And in that realm, in that regard of public participation, I would ask that the record be kept open. I agree. I've heard what you said about the record being kept open for 1 week. But I would ask that the record be kept open until the full community board has had an opportunity to consider landmark status, not just the committee, but the full community board. And the reason for that is that since 1989, the community board has advocated landmark status. Much of the research, much of the record that you have has been prepared and worked on by the community board. So give the opportunity that's deserved. Let the community board have a full public hearing. Let democracy rule. That's the American way. Now, I'd like to say that I represent Tim Brown, who is a surviving firefighter on September 11th. He was actually there. He participated. He was a first responder. And in the memory of those people who perished on September 11th, and out of respect to the family, families of the victims and the survivors, this building by itself, because of what has been said by the previous speakers and others, deserves landmark status. Now, this commission is aware that there's much precedent for giving buildings that have unique historical value landmark status, putting aside the architectural value and the uniqueness that the community board has worked on. There is much precedent. For example, the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory building was granted landmark status because of the fire that occurred there. That was part of the historical fabric of this city. The Margaret Sanger Clinic was granted landmark status because of that contribution to birth control and all the issues that came through the right to abortion movement. Also, the Stonewall building, because of what that contributed to gay rights in this city. And the building that was bombed by the Weather Underground was granted landmark status. If that building could be granted landmark status, why this building, which was directly impacted by the most momentous event in the post-World War II generation of this city, this building deserves consideration on historical merit. But even putting aside that, there are 22,000 landmark buildings in this city. Fully 6% of those buildings have been granted landmark status on historical events alone. And what is more important to the social, historical fabric of this city, cultural fabric of this city, than what occurred on September 11th?
Thank you very much.